We're at 10:01, so I'm sure people keep trickling in. But welcome everyone to the weekly Grape Finance AMA. I guess we can start off with LB if you want to give like a quick update on state of grape and all that.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's been a bit of a crazy week. But in terms of grape, it's kind of like a new beginning. It's kind of I made the post, make grape again, and that's kind of like what I'm aiming to do here. In that I can focus entirely on grape going forward, and brought in some couple new core team members as well, which have obviously everybody that's been in Grape would already know, and they've already done fantastic work in Grape for many months now. But now officially on the core team, obviously it's Taz and Fizzle, and Havoc as well. I mean, technically they've all been working here for ages, but now that they're on the core team, we can kind of have more of a solid structure, and basically focus and get things done that need to be done specifically for grapes. So I'm looking forward to the future, to what we have planned and what we can do, and really kind of like buckling down and getting to it. So you know,
Yep.
it's it's kind of how it is. Like everything kind of happens for a reason, and I guess the reason is, one of the good things, probably the only good thing, is that I can focus on grape, and that means that grape's going to be great again. So
Right, and the stuff we have to build sort of going forward is more intensive than some of the stuff we've built previously. So
exactly. So we're in like a transition point where we've kind of moving, or building things that or getting close to releasing things that are less Degen based, more revenue based, more traditional DeFi based, and obviously that means they're a little bit more professional in terms of the market they attract as well. So that means that we need to increase our standards at the same time as well, to meet that technically new market that's not really Degen focused, but at the same time, um, we're not forgetting the Degens. The Degens are the core, the core of grape, and so um, we still have a lot of things that we'll be releasing anyway. That a cool experimental Degen features, like our nodes revamp, and the our campaign that's starting soon, and also like a cool little yielding token that I haven't really spoken much about, but is pretty much done, and I'm just doing some testing, and that will probably launch pretty soon as well, which I think some people will like, even as something just kind of cool. But yeah, more on that later.
all right, yeah, we can hop into questions. We got a good chunk of them. Taz
Yeah.
asks pre-promotion. We've been talking about PEG campaign for a while, but can we quickly discuss why we would like to implement it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't it only create artificial price so we can go back and expand more again, and so people can take profit again? Especially if the Treasury finances it. Isn't it just going to take funds from the Treasury to reward people that most likely will sell their rewards?
Yeah, well, I guess, I mean, this is a good point. This is, I guess a reservation I have as well. Everybody keeps wanting us to do the PEG campaign. I mean, I got it at the same. I got the contracts at the same time as Walrus got them. But I didn't implement it uh, straight away because we already had the wine press ready to go. So I launched that first, and I was planning to launch the PEG campaign this week. But at the same time, I've obviously looked at Walrus's campaign, and it did really well in the first sort of few days, like an incredible recovery. Um, but it's kind of also been gamed a little bit, and I mean, they it hasn't managed to um, hold the peg. In other words, it hasn't managed to. It's definitely managed to reach peg multiple times. Actually, it's done really well on that, but it hasn't managed to be able to hold peg um, for a reasonable amount of time. And there's numerous reasons for that, obviously, but um, while it's running, it almost becomes somewhat of a burden if it runs too long, because obviously those funds have to come from the Treasury um, as rewards. So you want to balance that out, obviously. But I know that Walrus, Austin is going to be um, making some updates, and I'll be speaking to him about some things as well. And we'll probably do something similar, but maybe not exactly the same. Same goal, but maybe not exactly the same.
Yep. I know Guapo had some ideas. So at
Yeah,
some
yeah,
point we have to get in touch with him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I spoke to Guapo today. I'm gonna run some numbers on that, and implement this. It's like this similar idea, it's a similar goal. You know what I mean? It's but also implements some burning of grape at the same time to decrease the supply and let the supply match the demand as it is currently. As we are pretty expanded, we have almost 5 mil grape. We have burnt quite a lot of grape. In saying that, over the last sort of 3-4 weeks, just from the game, which is quite surprising how much grape has actually been burnt, like completely burnt from the game. Around 250, 300,000 grape completely burnt, and that's not including the 150,000 plus grape that was used in the mint. That wasn't burnt, but it's in the treasury. Um, I'll have to look at that announcement that he made. Was it the um stopping of the rewards, or the some announcement? I think I remember that, but I don't remember the specifics.
I know the APY or something on them reduced at some point.
Oh, okay.
There's a daily return, I guess not really return per year, but
Okay. Until Peggy's reached, yeah. It was up for 5 minutes, damn. And then they caught onto it in 5 minutes. Damn.
oof. Next question, the Vinium question. Hey, Heaven's Gate says, "Hey guys, have a question about leveraging on Vinium. Are we going to have leveraged yield farming? Only know one other project offering this on AVAX, Alpha Homara, and they're very limited on farms. Could we eventually see leveraged yield farming on grape?
Yes, yeah. That's so phase one will be like an Aave isolated pools essentially. And then we'll be doing phase 2, leverage yield farm, similar to Alpha Mora, or you could say, Alpaca. There's numerous different ones, but there's actually not. You made a good point there. There's not that many at all, really, on AVAX. I'm pretty sure only in Permax, and Alpha Mora, both of which are kind of limited, especially considering, you know, there's some good. You can do some good farms on uh, Trader Joe has a lot of boosted farms that you could, leverage up pretty nicely, and then that's not including as well all the other Degen plays that you can kind of leverage up and leverage farm with that. So I mean, it's a kind of an untapped market, and we're definitely going to be doing leverage yield farming because I think it's cool anyway.
Yep, absolutely. Yell Crab, what is the plan for Winemaker minting? There is interest in minting more vintners, so would like to know when/if that will be opened up again.
No, I only closed it probably last week, I think. So I'm going to keep it closed for a little while, until we release some new stuff, like some major stuff for the game, and kind of really push it out. But the mint, there's still like I think 3,500 that can be minted, maybe a little bit more, under 4,000 that can still be minted, and all I have to do really on the contract is just change the mint start date, to a a reasonable time, and then people can actually mint. Because right now the start date is, I just set it to a year in the future or whatever, so that essentially no one can mint right now until I change that back. So yeah, I can change it any time, but I guess for now want to kind of create some demand for it I guess, and release some new things for the game, and kind of blast that out, and then once the demand is too high for the supply, I can increase or open the mint again.
C Pulse just wants to add that thinks it would be, or they think it would be cool to have auto compounding on V2 nodes. It's sort of like a checkbox where you can
I
turn
think
on auto compounding.
the thing with contracts, probably a lot of people don't realize, is that nothing is automated on smart contracts. Even auto compounders, then they don't just like auto compound by themselves. They auto compound every time some action happens. So some transaction needs to happen for something to auto compound. So I think, in other words, on an auto compounder, usually what happens is, when someone does a deposit or a withdrawal, it then does harvest. It harvests the rewards too. So basically, auto compounds then. So in other words, we'd have to. It's something that I'm looking into, and that would be kind of cool. But yeah, something that we'd need to engineer in a way that works in that way where it would require someone to actually, like, either a button that someone can click on the public to harvest everyone's rewards, to, and not for themselves, but you know what I mean. They can auto compound everyone's rewards, or someone does a deposit and then it auto compounds, or something like
Right. I
that.
think
So
Cake had a feature like that, right? Where you could like claim a tiny little bit of cake to like fire off the compounding
oh yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
auto
yeah,
pool. But it was never worth the gas, so it was just
yeah.
interesting.
We can use
It's like a
gelato obviously,
bounty,
but
right?
the what was that?
It was a bounty, like a cake bounty. You just spend
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bounty and then it auto compounds.
yeah. There's things like, I think there's a few because usually that's just how it is, really. Like the contract can't do it by itself. You either need a bot to do it, which means that you're going to pay the gas. That could be Gelato, but you'll pay the gas, or you get someone else to pay the gas, and then you can incentivize it by giving them a little reward even while doing so.
Yep. So now's not the time. Would you ever consider acquiring Orbital Swap after shutting down LC as an external revenue stream that could then use fees earned to bolster the Treasury, allow for a steady stream of funds to put forward burning Grape separate from the Treasury? My opinion on this would be no. I think that the Orbital investors and people were already super upset from however the LC thing went down, and I don't think we'd want to add flames to the fire, or add fuel to the fire. I think what they released the code publicly on GitHub, so like if we wanted a DEX like that, we could fork it, but I don't think trying to acquire like the branded Orbital Swap would be beneficial. But LB,
Yeah. I think the thing with the DEX is that you need big volume to make any sort of funds, really. I mean, when I say big volume, I mean the fees are what 0.25% on trades, and the majority of that goes to LPs, obviously. So you're really relying on volume. It's a volume business. So, and it's not something that you can just like set and forget. You know what I mean? If you want your DEX to be able to actually generate actual revenue, that's not cents, then you need a lot of volume, and then therefore you need to really drive volume to it, and that's a lot of work. And the point is that and it's also a very competitive industry. In terms of on BSC, for instance, Pancake is the number one banana by far, and to compete with them, you really have to kind of do something different. You can't fork them directly. So in other words, if we were to take over a DEX or whatever, it would really have to be something unique that we essentially don't compete on with the very big established players there, because in other words, you really do rely on that volume to generate any sort of revenue. But yeah, we won't be making a bid or anything for Orbital either, because I think I mean, if we were going to make a DEX, we kind of would just make it ourselves from scratch.
Okay. Quali says, when is borrow and lending platform upcoming? So I guess, do you have a general timeline on that?
Yeah. Obviously, audit taking place right now. They're saying first week of September is when they're going to be complete with that. So from Solidity Finance. So, I mean, based on that report, we'll kind of determine, I guess, the exact launch. If it's a good report and there's not too much that we need to kind of improve on or get checked or fixed, then it should launch very soon afterwards. So yeah, I mean, couple weeks, few weeks, but launch is I mean the order was scheduled first week of September.
Okay, what incentive would?
Also,
Oh,
sorry, I was gonna say just about the Vinium is that we also want to structure that launch very very like strong in terms of like marketing that launch and making it like as LB said, it's one of those things that it's a more traditional DeFi. So we gotta make sure that our approach is a little bit closer to the chest and getting that message out there so that we can attract some of the non Degen crowds. So we're gonna be working closely
Mm,
with the marketing team on Grape to get the word out there and try to do some campaigns that are gonna reach a lot of that crowd.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
okay, Dan the Man. What incentive would Grape offer to LAR holders post refund to gain those funds? I ask because NB had mentioned some other protocols offering incentives to LAR holders to their communities after their refund.
So was that during the? I think that was during the city council announcements. Yeah. So there's a couple of
Yeah,
funds. So this is completely separate from Grape. I'm not sure LB wants to take that question on personally for the grape side of things, but those were specific protocols that have the option of coming in, like MDB, and I think what was it, Alto or AIM was going to offer some tax-free incentives for LAR
Mm,
holders to come onto their platforms, but I think that's we're leaving that up to those protocols to do that. It's not something that anybody's forced, or we're working actively with any protocols to do so. So that was something that was presented by the Obsidian Council as they were getting contacted to determine things and moving forward. So we wanted to move forward with the refund and not take time to um, find out if whether or not protocols are going to offer any holders
mm,
directly. So yeah, so that's up to the protocols themselves. But
yeah,
as far as race goes,
Dan had
yeah.
suggested possibly like some bonus NFT drop tickets or something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
We can. I'll have a think. We can maybe do something for as like a if you want. Um, if you come over as like a bonus or something. I mean, it was kind of it's supposed to be you if you're a holder you can get some protocols we're offering whitelist spots for some launch or something, or uh whitelists on the taxes of their token, etc. So I mean those sort of things, so some sort of bonus for holders as a incentive to join their community. And I can have a think and see what something similar we can do possibly. Um, the NFT tickets is possible. Um, you kind of do need the nodes for that. So I guess, uh, I mean, I'll have a think.
All right. P the Flea, our resident AMA question asker. Hi fam, hoping we can also do the PCP campaign. I understand that slow grow nature is important, but feel this would help Grape in the short term regardless. Any alpha. Let's get some pump and less dump. Long term Grapish. Thanks again for the epicness, LB and team.
Yeah. Thanks. Uh, I mean, we do want to do the campaign, or some sort of campaign will be happening likely this week. Getting some details lined up and sort of thinking about some like the method that we can use, because there's a few ways we can go about it, obviously. So thinking exactly what we can do, but we'll definitely have a have have something implemented this week for this to kind of shift momentum.
EBT, can we look at increasing the treasury with maybe some blue chip coins or something that the protocol can use to invest?
Yeah, well, I mean, we do have this. We have 2,000 AVAX, or over just over 2,000 AVAX in the S AVAX pool. So it is yielding AVAX, and it is also enough for a validator node if, in the future we want to do that. Um, and we also have, I mean, we have stable coins, obviously, but non-yielding, and then we have we have EMP ETH as well. So that's, ETH is the blue chip there, and that's just farming in their farm. It's been there for a while. So I mean, we do have this. We do have a decent amount of AVAX and some ETH as well, and we can add some other blue chips as well. But we do want to have a good amount of stables, because we don't really want to like, the AVAX and the ETH. I don't want to sell, unless we really need to. Like, I'd rather hold those tokens as as blue chip tokens, basically, in the treasury. So that's why we don't want to, have two. Like, we want to have a balance between essentially capital that we can use very readily, which is obviously stable coins for expenses and whatnot, and then some, blue chips that we basically just stake and earn yield on, and hold for a long period of time.
Glaxono. So how's it going in the Grape world? Any word on when a fix/upgrade will be rolled out for nodes v2? It's hard not to notice the current trend within the protocol.
Yeah, I think nodes v2 likely this week as well. I do need to kind of I have a proper list. It has got a list of all the noders, including your compound and claims, so we can see exactly who's a compounder and who's a pure claimer. And so we will be migrating nodes v2 based on that. So that's yeah. So we'll be obviously rewarding compounders based on that. So in other words, nodes v2 are happening very soon. It is a priority. We do want to kind of launch it in combination with the PEG campaign, I guess, and kind of also eliminate some of the pure claimers, I guess, so to say.
And our next question was from Andy, Andy Bear. Hey there, friends. I noticed a lot of when in general. I'm wondering if you guys could give an update on the ETA of things. That would be Nodes v2 very soon, possibly next week. Vinium audits getting done, and PEG campaign probably with some conjunction or tie-in to Nodes v2. So you just pretty much covered those.
Yeah,
The previous chunk of the AMA.
that's yeah. So yeah, nodes in PEG campaign priority, definitely. So they will be ASAP essentially. I gave a rough timeline. Well, basically this week I'd like to have them out. So, and then Vinium is audit pending, which is Solidity mentioned 1st of September. I keep thinking it's August, but we're already in August, so September, and then yeah. So I mean, that will be based on that, on the results of that. But and in saying that, it's we're working on the UI at the moment, integrating that, finalizing integration with the contracts. The contracts are done obviously because they're being audited, and then we'll do some beta testing of that when the integration is complete, and then audit results if it's all good, and then launch will follow shortly after that, when everything is kind of sweet and perfect.
Awesome. I need beef. Obviously, we're all chomping at the bit to get our hands on Vinium. My question is, what will Vinium bring that other platforms such as Aave and Abracadabra don't already offer, particularly for people who aren't already in the Grape ecosystem?
Yeah, well, I guess the main thing is that it will be one part of it. It will be one initial part of the Vinium lending protocol. So Vinium is initially an Aave style where it has lending pools, isolated lending pools, and I mean I guess the first difference is obviously that you'll be able to use our tokens as collateral, which obviously is not possible on any other lending platform, and likely won't be, at least for some time. But that's why we make our own. So that'll be the first thing. I mean, Abracadabra is obviously a little bit different in compared to Aave, and will be obviously different to our system because we are not minting a stablecoin to based on collateral. You're able to borrow against your collateral, borrow any token against your collateral. Obviously not including the Grape tokens, and so part of it is that it ties in closely with the Grape ecosystem to use the auto vault tokens as well. So essentially, auto repaying loans in a sense, and then the major difference comes where we implement the following phases, where we tie in leverage yield farming with that as an as the whole Vinium lending protocol, and then what we'll do with that as well is offer a Degen playground, so to say, for leverage yield as well, which is something that I think is obviously high risk, but high reward, and something that haven't really seen, especially on AVAX. But we can leverage. I say leverage. We can leverage our partners as well, and allow almost what we'd like to do is allow open markets for open isolated markets for leveraged lower liquidity farms. So essentially, the general gist is that leverage yield farms are kind of lending and leverage yield farms are essentially gated communities, gated to certain tokens, in other words, which makes sense. But if you can isolate it in a way where pools are not pools being liquidated don't risk other pools in the system, then there's no real reason not to be able to offer essentially an open market where anyone can create any pairs and leverage them, in the lending market itself. So essentially that's where we'll move towards in later phases of Vinium, and something that will be a real kind of a unique point about Vinium is kind of like an appeal to the Degens almost.
Any beef again? What other plans does the team have for a revenue model? You mentioned last time that the current seniorage model is a bootstrap phase for Grape, and I'm wondering what the future looks like. Will PEG be less important, or just as important but easier to obtain thanks to revenue streams? Right.
What was that?
I was gonna say, sort of like right. As far as PEG tokens are concerned, right? The PEG is just an indicator of supply and demand on whether or not inflation is needed. But you can answer the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely that's definitely a point there. I guess for revenue model is the main one is going to be the lending platform, and that includes obviously all the lending platform, especially you get into leveraged farms. There's there's fees there. There's fees in the or there's a spread, so to say, in the in the Aave style lending pool as well. Just it's kind of like how a bank works, I guess, but less predatory. So that's really the revenue model. We don't need to build like 5,000 different revenue models. I think if we build several really good ones and focus very heavily on them to build to make them very good products that people actually use at scale, then that's enough of a revenue model right there. So I mean, you want to diversify obviously, but at the same time you don't want to spread yourself too thin and do like 50 things terribly. You want to do like 5 things really good, in other words. So I mean, in terms of the PEG, it's it's hard to, it's like the price of any token. You can't obviously we can't control the price of any token regardless. So it's not something that we can like force, because we do want to keep it decentralized anyway. And that's if it's decentralized, well then the market determines the price based on supply and demand. So all we can do there is kind of ensure that there is a reasonable amount of demand that matches the current supply. And so with that we can tweak the levers. In other words, we can adjust the things that we can adjust, which is supply expansion, and we can also increase the utility and increase the demand, in other words, for the token at the same time, and try and match the supply with the demand by doing so. So I mean, it's something that needs to be managed, but then also as we tie into the revenue streams, we can then filter that revenue back to token holders directly, and essentially then you almost have a a fair value token, because it's based on because it actually can earn real yield, and therefore it's based on it has intrinsic value because of that. So I mean, there's a few things we can do there, but in terms of peg, it's always going to be something that needs to be managed delicately through every way we can, as I've mentioned.
All right.
If I say something
Yep.
about that. So I think what revenue streams offer is just like a unique opportunity to like offer like different utility and incentivizations for the tokens we currently have and the tokens of the ecosystem. So as Albie said, like you can't guarantee the price of any token, but you can offer, different utilities and incentivized opportunities for the tokens. And then, prices can be determined by the free market based on those utilities offered. So I think that's what these opportunities offer when you develop like new revenue streams and new platforms that tie into the greater ecosystem.
Hmm.
All right. Beautifully. Can we start building some hype around Vinium release? Also, Winepress and Nodes V2.
Yeah, definitely.
I can fire up
Yeah.
After Effects and get some stuff rolling.
yeah, hype video. Go on, Dave. We need a hype video. But yeah,
And
we'll have
we'll get on.
full campaigns for these releases.
Need beef. Any details on the release of new Winemaker tools and skills this week?
Yeah. Actually, being delayed, but I'm gonna get them out ASAP. So early this week, they'll we'll release the new tool and the 2 skills for the game, because we want to keep the game going. We want to blast it a little bit more as well, because it's doing really good for grape burning quite substantially, actually. Like 20, as I said, like 5,000 grape a day is not unheard of being burnt in the game, which is pretty insane. Like it's actually a lot of grape.
Yeah, that's a lot of grape. Need beef again. The higher reward allocation in the S Vintage pool created a couple days of buy pressure for Vintage this week, which was really great to see. How long do you see these increased rewards lasting?
I don't see them kind of stopping, to be honest. I mean, I guess the S Vintage pool is good because it's almost a way for you to loop around your rewards. So you can, you earn the vintage in the game, and then you stake it in the cellar, which is earning you more vintage at the same time, and then you can stake that in the vineyard and earn wine, and you can then directly profit through the wine, um, and be earning uh, more vintage at the same time, because you've got S vintage and getting a higher ratio, and then you can then loop that back into the game using grape, because that's what you need in the game. And so it's kind of like a machine to burn grape almost, because you're earning vintage that requires grape, um, through resetting fatigue, through the skills, through the tools and all that sort of stuff, and then locking that into the cellar, and then staking that token, earning wine. Then you can sell some of the wine, and then purchase grape with it, burn the grape to rest your vintners, and then therefore increase their efficiency, essentially, or like manage them, and boost your skills. You can get more vintners, increase your vintage, and like basically just keep that loop almost going. So I think the S, and then in other words, that's burning grape the whole time, which is really good for supply contraction. So I'm going to keep that pull boosted for a while.
All right. Chink will fix it. I'll add on the LAR question. Is there any way of having any sort of incentive around along or just before refund? So he's kind of talking about, sort of trying to incentivize people to use their refund on grape. I think you talked a little bit about it.
Yeah. I'll have a think. Yeah, something we can do.
Subject object X2. Since all these forked contracts were originally meant to use bonds or G bonds for us as the method to eliminate inflationary pressure and regulate the mechanics of the contraction phase, I was just curious if that function that's still baked in at the solidity functionality level. Specifically, I'm curious to know if the bond feature is in any way different from all the other deflationary tools that we have added, like i.e. legacy code issues. If so, should we still be using them in our strategies to some extent, or are they more like an appendix that we're now hauling around from ancient times? As far as strategy stuff goes, we need to sort of go back and overhaul, the strategy charts and zones. We have significantly more things to do within the ecosystem since those were made. And also, we're going to need to back zone 1 in to a much closer range to $1 than $2. But if you want to talk about bonds, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, bonds are one of the original mechanics. They are kind of integrated into. I mean, they're in the Treasury. Allows essentially allocation of them per epoch. So they're in there, and then obviously they're the operator of the token is also the Treasury. So essentially the Treasury can mint and burn them. You could remove that function, and technically you don't even need to use bonds. Like obviously the system will work without bonds to answer your question. But I would say the bonds are like a more advanced play. They're a higher risk play. They're an advanced play in that I would recommend them only for people that know Toon Forks well and have played them before, and see an opportunity where the peg can basically move rapidly beyond 1.1 TWAP, because that's really where you get the benefit from the bonds as a as a person that bonds their grape. So they're not needed for the system to function, but they're an added feature, and they don't really cause any issues otherwise. So like it's you can just keep them. The only downside to them really is for the protocol is that they add debt to the protocol. So when if you have a lot of bonds, when you go above peg, there's a period of time where the Treasury has to essentially pay back that debt by minting extra peg and sending that to the Treasury to allow redemptions, which then decreases the boardroom APRs. But it's saying that it's there's probably better ways. I mean, there are better ways of decreasing supply, because essentially with the bonds they temporarily decrease the supply. because as soon as you get back to peg, that supply that can be essentially unlocked, you could say. So, I mean, we can use them in the strategies, but I would say because they are illiquid, they're high risk, and I would recommend only advanced users use them basically.
Winkle Fix It. Last week I asked about having S-Grape similar to S-AVAX or S-ETH. You answered this was already happening on single staking. I got confused, to be honest, but I heard from someone else that our LPs and single staking pools will be used as collateral in Vinium, so that would make sense. Would you be able to expand further on that? Are we going to be able to use staked grapes and LPs as collateral? If so, would they be accepted as collateral when staked on Vineyard only, or Magic's auto compounder will count towards collateral too? Question mark.
Yeah. Would be the Magic Vault tokens, because if you obviously if you are staked in the vineyard yourself, there's no receipt of that. Like we the protocol, I mean the lending protocol doesn't own it, and it doesn't have access to it, and it wouldn't know essentially it wouldn't be able to liquidate it if necessary. So for the lending platform, you will need to you will need to deposit a token into the lending platform, and so we'll do the auto vault tokens because you also get the benefit of it auto compounding in the background as well, which is always nice.
And we'll probably have to include some education on how to see those tickets in your wallet or add them otherwise. But need beef. Can you clarify exactly on what compounding does in the wine press? Does it increase your daily rewards, or does it only increase the amount you can claim before assassination?
It does. It increases your maximum possible payouts. It increases your shares basically of the system is what it does. I mean, you have the system is based on shares, your shares of the pool. If you claim, yeah, essentially that's you forfeiting some shares of the pool. You compounding is you, essentially re-adding your shares to the pool, which increases the amount of time you can continue to earn from the pool. So you have this assassination that ticks off at 365, or no 350%. And if you don't compound, if you haven't compounded, you'll be able to. You can someone can take your rewards beyond that. But if you do compound, well then you can essentially stay in the pool as you still have shares in the pool. So compounding will increase your ability to continue to earn from the pool, really. And if you claim, you you reduce your share of the pool, which means that you get less of a payout, essentially, in the long run.
Does compounding increase 90% that you're like guaranteed back? Or is that 90% stuck with what you initially deposited?
Jose, you gone really quiet. Oh, let me turn you up.
Oh. My monitor went to sleep, so maybe that was it. Does compounding increase the 90% that you're like supposed to be guaranteed to get back?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna have to. I think it's based on the original, on your original investment, because that's what you would be guaranteed your 90% on as a bare minimum. I need to recheck the code to see the exact mechanic for compounding ROI. For the compounding ROI guarantee.
All right, I'm gonna go on beyond a little bit because we only have a couple more in here that were asked after my cutoff. Can we get a needed for peg price bot?
Yeah, we should do that. Yeah. It was a nice little thing.
And Josh, JMH Annihilation, I'm gonna have you post that in the suggestions channel.
Yeah, I think we get obviously the detonator has like $5 million in it, maybe more, probably more even. So you know, I'm pretty sure when they started the pool, they didn't have 100K daily winnings. It needs to build up over time. Is what I'm saying. It needs to you know, the lotto kind of rolls over. There's a rollover. It's a progressive lotto. So the longer the system is running, obviously, the larger the lotto gets, just by default through the progression. So you know, it's something that I can boost initially as well, and something that I
Alright.
will. But yeah.
I'm just scrolling through the live chat. Evolve says, could we make a bond farm like Frozen Walrus? So I guess probably like bond staking for some kind of reward.
Probably not. We've got too many pools, basically.
Grape Finance, let's go Brando. Why not do a second peg token? That way it's not renounced.
That is a good benefit, to be honest, with the not being renounced aspect. The problem with the second peg though is that now we have to manage that peg too. You know, we kind of split liquidity, and you know, we got two pegs to manage. But the not
We've got-
renouncing is good because it's a pain for us.
Right, and we've got one peg token to recover before we need to
yeah.
worry about a second one.
You know, the line reward value. So, you know, you're pretty much kind of, you know, have your hands tied there as you create new tags. All of those pools get diluted. So, you know, where do you provide the incentive for the new tag as well?
Any idea on APR for V2 nodes? That's from Crypto Preacher.
It'll be similar to the wine press APRs, which are they're over 1%. They're 1.2%. They can get higher depending on you know, the amount of deposits, the amount of claims as well. So I want to keep it up there. Similar to that. It'll be based on that system, so similar to that.
Guapo, this is about wine press, wouldn't the claim 5% tax fees back to the principal on compounders, thus increasing to 90%?
I mean, in theory, it reduces your shares and then donates the shares to the rest of the pool. So if you do, you know, in theory, then if you do compound, you get more ownership of that 5% claim, because you own the shares of that. So I need to double check the exact these little details, these intricacies.
Mohawk,
Yeah.
What's Grape's strategy for bear market, and what are the effects of market downtrend on Grape?
Grape's usually good for bear markets because we're stablecoin pegged, and we're not really good for bull markets because basically the opposite because we are stablecoin pegged. People want to buy the blue chips or go into Degen plays like moon coin plays. I mean, but bear markets people are more reserved. They will generally stick with stablecoins. So I mean, sideways markets and bear markets kind of work best for us anyway.
You're very farm heavy protocol.
Yeah.
Decrypto Preacher again. How do we combat peg issue in the long run? I think we sort of touched on this, right? We just need to sort of shift focus from where we were and the seniorage aspect to revenue streams.
Yeah, and we've we expanded very rapidly, continuously, and therefore we needed to now we need to contract because of that. But in the future we need to manage that well and expand at a rate that meets our demand, meets our demand essentially through the utilities that we have. If we build enough utilities that each suck up some little bit of demand each, then we can better manage expansion around that.
Okay. We are a little over an hour, but I think if you're good, we can just keep rolling through. Wally, is the team thinking about doing other investments during the bear market, maybe going into some blue chip coins or using trading bots?
I mean, we do have 2,000 AVAX in S AVAX pool that will sit there because that's a long-term investment, and we also have a good amount of EMP ETH LP in the farms there, which essentially is ETH leading into the merge as well. So I'm happy to hold that. I think we have a good amount therefore of blue chips compared to the amount of stable coins we have. We can probably invest a little bit in some sort of trading bots, I guess. The problem is that you want trading bots that I guess they're hard to find. You know, ones that work in every single market. They're at higher risk, you could say, but we could find some. If you have some suggestions of good ones, you let us know.
Yep, so be sure to pop those in suggestions, I guess. As will NFT tickets work the same way with V2?
It's it won't be based on the nodes, the amount of nodes you have. It'll be based on your shares. So similar idea, but yeah, different exact calculation.
Same but different. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're all caught up. Are people recompounding in nodes V2 being rewarded versus people that claim and sell?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
on.
exactly. Yeah. So we have a list. We have a list. if the only thing that you have done since the beginning is just claim and sell, you're out.
Wow.
Yeah, within reason though. Like if you you know, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna go to the list. I'm gonna look through them all. But if you compounded at least a few, but from the beginning though, from the very beginning of the nodes, not just the last couple of weeks. Yeah. Not just for the last couple of weeks. It's all right. If you, I get it for the last couple of weeks. If you were claiming and then staking or putting into the game, that's sweet. That's great. You're definitely helping the protocol. Very much so. But I guess from day one, if the only thing, and that's for for like 4 months now, 4 or 5 months. If for 4 and 5 months the only thing you did is just claim and sell, well, you've definitely made ROI. I'll tell you that. So I think it's time for you to it's you've earned enough basically for in terms of the V2.
Like Santa Claus. Looking at the list.
Do nodes we hold get updated to V2 automatically?
Yeah, I'm going to think about a good migration, and I want to do a smooth migration on that where I just handle that for you. I mean, if I may need to I may need I guess I'll think about the best way to migrate. If I can do it where I just handle everything for you, that would be best because then there's no kind of extra support needed. The
All right.
yeah.
All right. Wine nodes? Is there going to be a V2 wine nodes, or are those just dead?
They are essentially the wine press, but the tickets are going. We're going to the tickets are going to be a little bit different. As I said, they're going to be not uh based on like obviously the amount of nodes you have, because it's a little bit different if we use the share system. It's going to be based on the shares. So I'll need to figure out the best way of doing that.
All right. So I think at this point, we can pretty much wrap up here. Thank you, everybody, and LB, if you want to give any, LB or NB, you want to give any closing remarks?
Yeah. Well, exciting times ahead for Grape. A lot of things happening. So excited to get to it. Excited to get cracking. A lot of things to do. But a lot of cool things coming. And you're gonna like it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it personally. Getting back into this and just moving forward and doing something good for everyone.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, and we'll keep you posted on all these new updates coming out. And thank you again for tuning in and sticking with us.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks,
We'll
thanks
we'll
everyone.
probably sorry. Yeah, I'd just say we'll probably continue. I don't know, times next week. I don't know. We'll obviously we'll do a AMA next week sometime. Maybe US evening because I don't know, I've kind of switched my sleep schedule now a little bit. To not be insane Australian times, but
Very needed.
yeah, but also
Yeah.
probably do it on Discord even just because it's kind of like I don't know, it's easier. All right. Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening in. Um, we'll be back next week.